Tuesday. Beautiful day. Halfway through the month. It's hard to believe. Is there
Merry
a,
Christmas.
yeah, I know it'll be Christmas before we know it. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes approved. Mr. Pons, you're up first today.
So this first one should be pretty simple. This is a plan unit development. It's a public hearing, so y'all are going to be voting tonight. This is the gates at Emerald's Edge. So Emerald's Edge is a large development that's going on north of the river. You can see kind of up in this area, pretty far north. But this one piece of the whole subdivision, they are proposing, which is 12 single-family residential lots, is included in this piece of that whole subdivision that they want to actually make into a planned unit development. And the reason that they want to do that is so that they can gate off the access to that portion. So think in towns in North River, think of the gates of Savannah. It's essentially something similar to that. So within this area, it's 12 single-family residential lots. They want to provide gated access. Average price point, obviously, is 2 to 4 million. Large homes that they're proposing. Here's the layout. So again, they're really just proposing this plan unit development in order to provide a gate for this little portion. Here's what that gate might look like, and architectural styles, the renderings for the houses themselves. Does conform to framework. Framework identifies this as lakeside living, single-family housing on large lots. Irregular shaped lots due to topography is not uncommon around the lake. And then there's that future land use character map. Planning Commission did unanimously recommend approval for this proposal. Y'all have any questions about this one for me? All right, next up we have a Riverfront Development District public hearing. So this is for Sports Illustrated. They are petitioning to construct a mixed-use development at 105 Rice Mine Road North in Council District 3. So this is formerly the Bend. I'm sure y'all are all very aware of this property, where it's located along the river, close to Indian Hills and High Forest. Zoned RD today, Riverfront Development. They are requesting approval for phase 1 only. So up to this point, this has been a 2-phase project through Planning Commission. However, they are not proposing phase 2 at this time. It is strictly phase 1. So that is all that y'all are hearing today. That's all the information that I'm giving you today, and that's all that could be approved today. So what they're proposing, and of course they're going to have a lot more information on this, but overall the phase 1 project is going to have 137 hotel keys, 76 timeshare units, and 66 condominium units, all located within 2 9-story buildings for a total of 279 units. The timeshare units are studios, 1 and 2 bedrooms. The condo units are 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, and then the hotel units will have double queen, king, ADA king, and suite. They will also have 3 buildings, single story, with 18,000 square feet of retail closer to that intersection. The retail will be open to the public. The developers are going to construct the Riverwalk along the Black Warrior River. As you recall, with the project that came before this that ended up not happening, called the Bend, they were going to construct it along Rice Mine Road. We wanted it to be on along the Black Warrior River, and that's what they're proposing to do. It will ultimately connect to that Randall family trailhead under that Woolsey-Fennell Bridge, and then as well as to the Cypress Inn property. And the tree canopy along Rice Mine Road will be preserved. So based off of their narrative, they've stated they're expanding the hotel, lodging, and attraction to the north side of the river. They'll bring more recreation to the river, which will be open to the public. Again, they're connecting to the Randall Family Park, to the Cypress Inn with the Riverwalk. They'll have outdoor trails intertwined within the Riverwalk and their development. And again, they're going to be maintaining that tree canopy along Rice Mine Road. So here's a rendering showing those two buildings in the back. Those are the timeshare and the hotel. And then you've got this field kind of in between that as you're coming towards us. And then the 3 small retail buildings. And so this is looking at that intersection. So this is phase one, the overall site plan. You can see that also includes on the top left of this screen, central services building as well. So again, hotel, condo, timeshare, building design. The
Can you
entry.
back up one slide, please?
Yes, sir. So they'll be using brick for the facades, balconies, glass.
Okay.
The entryway in between the two buildings, and then the floor plans. Not going to go in too much detail with this. It's included in y'all's packets, but I know it's hard to read because of the scale that we have to put it in. But you can see the green; those are hotel unit, or sorry, the green are the timeshare units. The kind of pale yellow, that's lobby space, event space. And then the bright orange is Sports Illustrated function space. So they can kind of expand more on that. And then the gray is the back of house. So this is the first floor. As you go to the second floor, again, the green is timeshare. So that northern building is more the timeshare. And then on the south side is the hotel. 3 through 5, you have the condo portion of the development mixed in on that kind of timeshare building, the north-south building, and then the hotel running east and west. Level 6, and then 7 through 9. So they can go into more detail about the floor plans if you have any questions about that. The retail design, this is just some renderings that they've provided showing that retail area. Very pedestrian friendly, more so, geared towards activating that outdoor space. And then you can see just the overall idea. So on that bottom kind of site plan, there'll be multiple suites, they'll be built to suite. They can, again, talk more about that. So the 18,000 square feet, they'll have various, I guess their tenants can have the ability to be flexible with those spaces. And then you've got your central services building. So again, this is on the northern side. That's the rendering that they provided. They can talk more about what this central services building will look like. Here's some rendering or some elevations showing that. And then the floor plan for this central services building. So the central services building is primarily office area, back of house office area for the running of the hotel, laundry services, things of that nature. So it's not going to be open to the public. It's going to be more, the function of the development itself. Staff review. So this proposal does meet the requirements outlined in section 24.242 related to the riverfront. This went through 2 public hearings up to this point. So the first one was the Riverfront Advisory Committee, which was held on September 5th. During this meeting, the committee itself emphasized the importance on maintaining the natural streetscape, specifically the tree canopy along Rice Mine Road. They did have some concerns with maintaining occupancy throughout the year with the hotel and timeshare use, which again, they can discuss more about their business model. They emphasized the importance of connecting the proposed shared use path with the existing Randall Park trailhead. They had some concerns regarding the timeshare use, but overall they had stated that they liked the development. And then it went to Planning Commission on September 16th, again for another public hearing, which the commission unanimously recommended for approval.
Was that both phases or just phase 1?
So that was both phases.
We're only seeing phase 1.
That's right, yes, sir. So they don't have to bring both phases to you today, they're just bringing phase 1. And they have a presentation. I'm sure they can answer a lot more questions than I could probably answer for you, but if you have any for me, I'm ready to answer.
Okay.
Are we going to do that here or at council?
Are we doing it at the council meeting tonight?
So they're here to present, I believe they want to present something for you tonight,
Okay.
and then they'll also obviously be at council
Okay,
tonight
if
as
you
well.
want to come forward.
We're gonna have a presentation. Did it's y'all's meeting, I don't wanna interrupt, so we're gonna do this here and again tonight.
But that's why it's not, we normally don't do that. Did you want to do it, Norman?
Yes,
You
I
wanna
think
do it
Mr.
here
Crowe
and
wanted
there?
to.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mentioned it to him.
Yeah,
Wanted
you
to- I mentioned it to Kip.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Brian Dixon. I'm here today representing Travel and Leisure Co. I'm the Regional Vice President of Operations, and I've been with the company for more than 15 years. I do appreciate the opportunity to be here today to share our vision for our flagship resort for Sports Illustrated Resorts. While Sports Illustrated Resorts is a new lifestyle brand, our company has a diverse portfolio of resorts, membership, and lifestyle travel brands within the Travel and Leisure Co. Is there? Thank you. As you see here, we have more than 270 resorts totaling over 28,000 vacation ownership suites and over 800,000 owners around the world. We have more resorts and members than either of our major brand competitors, Marriott Vacations and Hilton Grand Vacations. Many of our brands have a deep history in the industry, dating back more than 40 years. Each of these brands helps to bring people together and inspires travel around the U.S. and beyond. With world-renowned brands in our portfolio, including Margaritaville, Accor Hotels, and Wyndham, our mission is simple. We put the world on vacation, and we helped do that last year with over 6 million families. We're launching a new brand with Sports Illustrated Resorts. We want to deliver the ultimate family-friendly, sports-themed, and active lifestyle resort network, and we are concentrating on universities with passionate fan bases. We envision Tuscaloosa as the first in a network of upscale resorts connected by the powerful Sports Illustrated brand. When I think about passionate fans, the University of Alabama is unrivaled. When we were meeting about where to put our first resort, to build our first flagship resort, the University of Alabama was the clear choice. And we want to honor the legacy of sports here, and we want to be part of its future. Football games, arts, cultural events, orientations, graduations are all no-brainers. We believe there's unlocked potential in the remaining times of the year as well. We believe we can create a destination for sports fans as well as travelers looking for more experiential accommodations. Sports tourism is a $588 billion segment per year and expected to reach $2.1 trillion by 2030. A 2020 Learfield research study reveals that there are more college sports fans in the U.S. than there are fans for any professional league. Over 182 million individuals across all 50 states have a favorite college team or teams that they follow regularly, with 65.5% of the teen and adult population identifying as college sports fans. These fans are 1.8 times more likely to earn $150,000 or more compared to the U.S. population, and are increasingly mobile, with 41.1% living beyond 80 miles from the campus. Our own research has shown that consumers were overwhelmingly excited about the Sports Illustrated Resorts concept. Nearly half of people who travel for sports have children younger than 18, and 38% have kids enrolled in or graduated from college. 68% have visited a college or university town in the past 3 years, mainly for sporting events, visiting family or friends, and vacations. Sports tourists have great pride towards their college and want to share experiences in person, creating memories with other fans. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Kit Wilburn, who oversees our resort development design and renovations. He'll give you a brief overview of the plans for the project.
Thanks, Brian. My name is Kit Wilburn with Travel and Leisure. I'm Vice President of Strategic Development and been with the company for almost 17 years. I want to thank the City Council again for having us here today. I also want to thank the Planning and Zoning staff. We've enjoyed working closely with city staff over the last several months. They've been instrumental working through the development and the process with us. I'd like to take the time to also personally thank Councilman Crowe, who's been extremely helpful in this process as well. Before we transition to our plan for the resort, I'd like to share some of our more recent projects. On the screen, you'll see Club Wyndham and Margaritaville Vacation Club in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. Worldmark in Moab, Utah, just outside of Arches National Park. Club Wyndham in downtown Austin, Texas. And Worldmark Riverfront in Portland, Oregon. As Brian mentioned, we have an extensive history in vacation resorts in the timeshare industry, often blazing new trails. Each of these resorts you see on this slide were the first timeshare resort in their respective cities. Each of our resorts are developed following a similar process, which begins with partnering with the city. This partnership is essential to meeting our objectives. Through the process here in Tuscaloosa, we've heard a lot of feedback about other projects that have been conceived for this same location and fallen through. The resorts you see here are great examples of how Travel and Leisure followed through on our commitments while adding world-class upscale accommodations to these communities. I'm extremely proud of the work that we do to deliver a resort that's specifically designated for each community, showcasing the attributes that make each community unique and desirable to visit, and we pledge to do the same thing here in Tuscaloosa. When we join a community, we hope to integrate into the fiber of it. Tuscaloosa offers enormous opportunities from partnering with the university to supporting local youth sports. We're excited to begin conversations with the university to explore opportunities to partner with the academic programs like the University of Alabama's Hospitality Management Program and others that have natural synergies. With hospitality, marketing, sales, engineering, and business as key areas of our operations, we're looking forward to unlocking the potential of partnerships. We view the university as a pipeline for talent and an opportunity to keep top graduates home here in Tuscaloosa. Because of Travel and Leisure's large and national scale, we offer employees full health, well-being, travel, financial benefits, which differentiates us from smaller developers that you may have dealt with in previous. Just this year, Travel and Leisure has been recognized by Newsweek as one of the world's most trustworthy companies, been included in Fortune's World's Most Admired Companies, in U.S. News and World Report Best Companies to Work For, and most recently, Forbes World's Best Employers. We also look forward to starting discussions with the West Alabama Chamber and Tuscaloosa Career Tech Academy's Hospitality and Tourism Program to develop and promote local jobs. We also see an enormous opportunity to work with the local youth sports organizations. The resort can host local sports banquets, events, celebrating local youth sports organizations. Imagine a local sport champion being recognized with Sports Illustrated as the backdrop, or local youth teams calling resorts, restaurants their home for banquets and other recognition opportunities. We also see an opportunity to initiate discussions with new development at River Run Park to host teams as they come in for tournaments. Now I'd like to shift back to the resort itself, and I'd like to introduce Louis with Lamar Johnson Collaborative, who's our design firm. Louis will share more details about how we developed the plan for the resort, which we think complements local design aesthetics, and to showcase what residents can expect when we're done.
Thanks, Kit. As Kit mentioned, my name is Louis Vavarutsos, and I'm a principal with the architecture firm Lamar Johnson Collaborative. We are the design architect for the project. We have offices in Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, Atlanta, and a couple of others. I work primarily out of the Chicago office. However, I've done work all over the country, all over the world, and we're very excited about this particular opportunity. And what I wanted to do is really walk you through how we got to where we are and what you see in the renderings and why they look that way. So to start with, like on many projects, our goal was really first and foremost to understand a little bit about Tuscaloosa because we take pride in placemaking. So we needed to understand the place. And we needed to understand, obviously, the game day. A lot of people know about the game day place, but we needed to know much more than that. So we were thinking about things that were important to us, and you can see some of them listed here, from the vibrant city events that don't necessarily occur everywhere. You know, what is Tech or Treat? What does Druid City mean? What's it for? Understanding the arts and culture, the incredible opportunities for experiencing nature here, not just for the river, but beyond the river. Understanding the experience economy and what that means. Again, thinking beyond the local area, bass fishing tournaments, youth baseball. Again, all the things that embrace but go beyond Alabama football. And food and drink economy is part of that as well. So all of that created a picture of the place for us, and that was the first step. The second step was really to understand the character of the university and to be a good neighbor to that architecture. It's a very specific character. A big part of that is brick, but also the idea of balance and symmetry in the way buildings are arranged and laid out. And also the way that window fenestration and detail works. There's a lot of shadow. Buildings tend to be scaled down to kind of the human level. Buildings at the University of Alabama don't exactly look like buildings on every single college campus. There are nuances, and we needed to understand them. Not for the purpose of copying them, but rather to be good neighbors to both the university, the city, and the community. So our goal was to come up with an architectural language that acknowledges this past, but also is forward-thinking and has its own, creates its own identity. And then the third major challenge that we needed to get our heads around right away was the site and how we address the site. First and foremost, we needed to understand where people are coming from, and we did that. We know the percentage of people coming from the west along Rice Mine, the people coming from the east, from the south. And we needed to figure out how to arrange a development to be the least disruptive as possible, to tap into those kind of existing traffic patterns. For the placement of the buildings, we wanted to consider very closely, and the city mentioned this as well, what do the buildings look like from the bridge as you're heading north? What does it look like? At what point do you see them coming from Rice Mine to the west? So the experience of the buildings to people coming here for the first time or for the 10th time was very important to us, as was the views from the buildings, and to make sure that you either had views to the event lawn or to the river, again, to make it engaging and a destination where people would want to come. We wanted to make sure we were maximizing daylight and views for the inside of the building and the major spaces, but also to make sure we have enough shade and understand, you know, the climatology during various times of the year for the outdoor spaces to make it comfortable for people. And then a real big part of this is making sure we had the adequate respect for the topography. There's a lot of slope on the site. There are significant wetlands that we wanted to maintain to the greatest extent possible. Many, many trees, understanding the height of the trees, but also the density of the trees, where they could be disrupted and where they could not. So these were very important to us. And then finally, really focusing on the pedestrian experience, both along the perimeter of the site and within the site. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So on this site plan, the major elements you see are the L-shaped building itself, which is the hotel, and then the condo and vacation club, which is the vertical oriented piece, north-south. And then connecting them is, we creatively called it the connector, but that's the main lobby. And we set this thing up symmetrically so that there's almost continuous spatial and visual connection from the intersection all the way to the northwest towards the water. That's the way we organized this. And so the event lawn is part of that sequence, and we're thinking about how people experience these buildings. The event lawn is between the L-shaped building and then 3 smaller buildings that you see, which are the upscale retail buildings. And then the 4th major element off to the west is the central services building that you'll see a little bit in more detail in a moment. In thinking about that from the site plan, we wanted to make sure that the tree, not canopy, but the kind of columnar trees along Rice Mine were undisturbed. There are no curb cuts there. They're very thick, as you all know. If you're driving through there heading east or west, you really can't see through them unless you stop and stare through them. But we located the building a good 160 feet away from there, and we're doing a good job to blend it in, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So in addition to those elements, there's site circulation within the site, and then parking to support all these elements as conveniently as possible. I do want to draw attention, I don't know if I've got I don't have it. I do want to draw attention to, can I not go backwards on this? Let's see. I want to call attention to the shared path, which we have, that runs all along the east of the property. It's about 1,300 feet long, 12-foot wide shared path that we're building to really foster the pedestrian connectivity along the site, as well as the river walk down along the water, which, as mentioned, will connect both to the west as well as to the east of the Randall Family Park. So we're really thinking about the connection to nature, the connection to existing pedestrian ways, and then also trying to work as well as we can with what is already there.
So 1,300 feet, only the phase one portion of that walkway, or does that include the western half
It's just
that'll eventually come online?
It's just the phase one
That's
portion.
just the phase one portion?
Yes. So, another very important thing to us to make sure this is a destination, and that destinations are what make things successful. We're really focusing on these moments and these amenity and outdoor kind of experiences. So at the top right, you see the retail plaza. I had mentioned upscale retail. This is the plaza that you might see, or that you will see, that might have organized events or just shopping experiences. In the upper left, you see a view from the main lobby across the event lawns. There may be a small stage there for community events, whether it be something cultural or tailgating. It could be programmed in a number of different ways. Another moment, in the lower right-hand corner, you see the sports-themed restaurant, which has outdoor seating and looks directly out onto the event lawn. And then finally, in the lower left-hand corner, an approximation of what the trail, the riverfront trail, may look like and feel like, which, again, the connectivity east to west, we understand how important that is, and we absolutely plan to emphasize that. I wanted to show you this diagram because per the city, it was very clear what we needed to and what we could and could not do with regards to trees. So we wanted to make sure we understood where the tree canopy is and our approach of aligning with those trees and not exceeding them. And then all of these things together start to add up to the views. So you see here an aerial view of the development looking southwest. You can see campus in the far background and the river kind of in the midground. And I want to start by talking about arrival to the property. So in the very middle, at the bottom of the image, you see the main entrance to the property. What we're doing there is we're using the configuration of the existing street light. So there's already a light there, and that light will not be changed in terms of the way people get into the property. We also have protected turn lanes coming into both entrances to the site so that it does not introduce a new traffic pattern in any way. I had mentioned the common use walk, and you could see that on the left-hand side, the 12-foot wide sidewalk that connects all the way from the water to this intersection. And then it's hard to see, but along the river is the riverfront path that I had mentioned. In terms of the building itself, we really wanted to make sure that the building was oriented both towards the event lawn and towards the river. And so with the transparent lobby connector piece between them, and again, transparency in the retail, so there's this kind of layering of the experience of space. So theoretically, you could be at the retail, walk through to the event lawn, walk through the lobby, through the pool, behind the lobby, and see the river. So it's this choreographed sequence. And again, that's the kind of planning and symmetry of the classical Alabama campus that we kind of adopted. But you're not going to notice that. It's not like you're going to say, oh, that's just like campus. But that was our thought process. You do see red brick on the building. It's about 50 or 60% of the building, again, per city code. And then we really worked very hard to integrate landscaping and planting in such a way that would reiterate the sense of place, red and white flowers, the kind of trees, whether it be sweet gum or red maple that you would tend to see, thinking about preserving views but also creating shade, and then finally maximizing a pedestrian environment. This place is for people first and cars second. So that is what the big idea from the massing. And then this view is talking more about what we're doing with the facade. We really see this as a place of vibrant, dynamic, kinetic movement, just like sport. And so even with things like the balconies, we wanted to make sure that we didn't simply align everything vertically and make it feel super institutional. We wanted to add this sense of movement and playfulness, and that's why they stagger. And they'll create different kinds of shadow patterns on the buildings throughout the day. The kind of brick we're using, we're looking at a molded brick, again, a little bit more textural, a little bit more crafted than machine-made brick. We're looking at window surrounds that add texture and detail. And you can see the transparent lobby with the inviting canopy in the middle of the image. There's a second canopy, an entrance. It's a little bit warmer tone on the right-hand side. That's the entrance for the condominiums, which need their own address and their own kind of arrival presence. And on the left-hand side, you see the retail. You see a lot of paving. And again, we're working towards a curbless environment to focus on people more so than cars. The central service building, as I had mentioned, this is a functional building. It's not intended for public use. Setback 160 feet from the roadway, but we also intend to landscape it to blend in comfortably even within the campus so that it's not highly noticeable. So we're going to use neutral materials to make sure it doesn't stand out too much and really emphasize the whole thing being a good neighbor. So we're super excited about this project and helping add to the culture in the community. We really see this as a place that's of campus, but really more so of community and of city as well, and making it for families and people to enjoy. So that's our goal. And with that, Brian?
We really need to kind of get this moving because this is pre-council and we got to keep on our committee schedule.
Understood,
So
sir.
if you'll get ready to kind of wrap it up and
Sure.
there'll be some questions from Councilor Crowe, I know, and
Sure.
we have some members of the community that couldn't make it tonight. So, but we've got 5 committee meetings after this before the council meeting, so we need to.
Understood, sir. I'll be as brief as I can to respect everybody's time. So as we've shared, we're proposing to build a resort that includes condo residences, timeshare suites, and a hotel tower. I do want to just a moment to explain modern timeshare industry in the simplest terms. People purchase an ownership interest in a piece of property over a recurring period of time. This real estate interest is converted to points, which can be used to travel to a network of our resorts. We will sell condo residences and timeshare ownership interests and continue to act as the property manager, including operating a full-service hotel on site. Owners of the product will have the best opportunity to reserve the most sought-after dates for travel, not only in Tuscaloosa, but in future destinations. In closing, the partnership with Sports Illustrated and the University of Alabama is a perfect fit. No other athletic program has been featured by Sports Illustrated more than the University of Alabama. And our resort will leverage the more than 70 years of coverage to honor your history. My fellow presenters, as well as a number of subject matter experts, are here. If there are any questions, we're certainly happy to take those.
Mr. Crowe?
But again, we're gonna have an opportunity tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Understood.
Brian, I've got I'm gonna do briefly for this. I do have a lot of questions I wanna kind of
Sure.
ask, because I think it's important in, a lot of these discussions, because I know we're running short on time here, but I do think it is important, and especially coming out of the community meeting that I had last week in the district, to talk a little bit about the history of this project, because there was one iteration of this project that came out about a year ago.
Sure.
That totally changed, and now we kind of are where we are. If you could talk just very briefly about that, and then there's been a big issue that has come up about some interest in ownership by Cherokee Indians,
Sure,
which
understood.
I think is something that I really would like a brief, you to briefly kind of talk about, maybe a little bit about where that was, but now where is it today and the ownership and what's happening with this?
Absolutely, and
It's
I'm gonna
being
ask,
proposed.
yep, no problem. Travis Crisp, if, go ahead and take those.
Good afternoon, council members. Travis Crisp, Travel and Leisure Co. Thank you, community members, also for being here. So I'm going to answer the question about the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. Their economic development entity, which is called Goodua LLC, was involved in the project. And not in this project, they were involved in Sports Illustrated to begin with. They are no longer involved whatsoever, and no longer, not ever been involved in this project.
Okay. And
It-
I think that is very important because a lot of questions have come up about the potential for gaming. And I want to just make sure that is discussed. I mean, where people kind of hear that. Because, I think there was a lot of valid concerns actually about part of that. Because the design that was rolled out for this is a lot different than what is being proposed today in this. I mean, because I remember not to really slam part of that, but the resort atmosphere that was presented to the community is not what's happening today, correct?
Correct. So let me go back to the gaming issue. There was never ever gaming proposed here. There never would be. That would not be the case.
Well,
At all.
currently you couldn't do
Yeah.
that anyway. 'Cause we don't have-
Exactly.
There's no, and if that happened, I know there'd be issues to deal with it. One question that I had too is who is your customer in this? I mean, when you guys have done all these studies, who do you see as the customer that would be coming to this facility?
I'm going to refer to Brian for this one.
Yeah, so no problem. So we'll have a robust plan for not only digital marketing, but also marketing that we will have on site. There may be some of our owners from our other clubs which do not interact with Sports Illustrated that may very well be interested in the product. Timeshare owners travel. They use every point that they possibly can, and they fill all of our sites. Certainly from the public as well, so we'll have multiple channels through digital marketing, through on-site marketing. Some of our current owners in our other clubs may very well have some interest. The sports families, the sports enthusiasts that may come to Tuscaloosa may have some interest in being those prospective owners for us down the road as well.
Sure. In the instance of time, here, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I do just want to say in the community meeting that I had last week was well attended. The main takeaways from that for me were, and these are issues that I think you guys can work on addressing if you can't today, or just, we need to have this conversation. One of them was traffic, of course. There are traffic concerns. I know there was a traffic study done. We talked a little bit about that. There may be more questions on that. The lack of renderings on phase 2 is the reason why we are not looking to that. So you guys, when I asked you to do that, we removed phase 2 from this. So we're just basically considering the first phase today, which I think is important. Also, that the tree canopy is going to be preserved in this. That was a big deal. The timeshare component, I still want us to spend a little bit more time talking about how that works.
Sure.
I noticed that some landscaping had been added to this, Brian. Landscaping, the height of the buildings, kind of the appearance of the buildings. And then I think there's also an issue with not just me, I think some other council people, about just the room night issues in Tuscaloosa and how you guys are confident that this hotel is going to be hopefully better than what's happening, is what I'm saying, in the market. So I don't know how, we just need to address these. I mean, I don't know that you can address all of them right now, but Kip, we probably don't have a lot of time to do that.
No, let's do it.
I prefer
Happy to-
tonight just because
Or
I
we
think
could do
most
it
of the
tonight.
people
Happy to-
interested are going to be
Any way that we can
tonight.
accommodate,
Yeah,
happy to.
Prepare
We
that
can-
for tonight.
We
Sure.
can address those tonight.
And in fairness, for Dominique, would you like to, or Janet, say something at this week? Or wait
I
till-
can wait until the city council meeting unless you would like to, but we're prepared at any
Well,
time.
I didn't know if you could be there tonight, so yeah.
I will be
we
there
would
tonight.
prefer that, because I didn't know, honestly, not being disrespectful, I had no idea this was gonna go this long, because this really kind of puts us in a time crunch for the rest of the afternoon, but thank you all.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
all.
Thank you, but I think you'll see in your
Appreciate it.
packets, we prepared several
Yes.
pages, so that that's better for y'all to look at now. It just talks about due diligence and community concerns, and I think the rest we'll handle tonight. We don't wanna take your time. Thanks, y'all.
We very much appreciate that, because we've got 4 committee meetings still to go. Mr. Mills?
All right, good afternoon, Councilor Mayor. I only have 2 applications tonight. The first one tonight will be Party Down LLC, DBA for Bryce Main Events located at 200 Bryce Lawn. They're applying for special retail more than 30 days. This was in committee last week and they actually passed unanimously. I need to come before you guys.
Okay.
And then my last applicant I have is for 3+C Incorporated, DBA The Venue. They're actually applying for a special retail less than 7 days application for 6052 Watermelon Road, Lot 2. And again, they're applying for a special retail less than 7 days.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Mayor Maddox?
I'll defer my time to the gentleman from Slocum, Alabama.
I think Ms. Johnson has something before I give up.
I know Slocum well.
All right, so we've got 2 boards that we need to address today. The first one's gonna be the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Miss Linda Ford, her term has expired, but she has expressed a desire to be reappointed. So if you guys would like to move forward with that, we can have that ordinance on next week.
No, I'd like to accept some applications.
I'd highly recommend her.
I don't.
I get that, but I do.
Well,
I'm okay with
I don't at all. I would like to, and I have many reasons why, but I would like to, since it's a position, I'd like to open it up for applications for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Is that good?
What board is this?
Zoning Board of
ZBA.
Adjustments. Okay. And then the next one is the Tuscaloosa Public Library. Mr. Jimmy Warren, his term has also expired, but he does not want to be reappointed. So there
Right.
will be a vacancy on the Public Libraries Board.
And I think we spoke, and I'd like to open that up for 2 weeks too for the library board. I think Mr. Warren has been on there for about 25 years at
Yes,
least.
sir.
So if you do that, around 2 weeks on both the ZBA and
Library.
mhm.
Got it.
Thank you. Mr. Holmes?
Good afternoon, council. I will try to run through this as quickly as I can, but shout if you want me to slow down or go over anything extra. We will start on page 16 and 17, which is in the public hearing section right there in the middle, where you'll be revoking the business license of Skinner Transportation Service located at 1299 Zach Drive in Northport, Alabama. That comes to us from the police department as well as revenue. Skipping down then to page 21, you'll be authorizing purchase of equipment, supplies, and services for the Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue Dive Team. This is a total of $1,135 and is a previously budgeted purchase. On page 22, you'll be authorizing amendment number 1 to the professional engineering services contract with Garner Associates. This is for the Sokol Park North Lighting Project and is a total contracted amount of $55,000 and was discussed on projects last week. On page 23, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute amendment number 1 to professional services contract with N. Harris Computer Corporation. This came to you in projects last week. On page 24, you'll be authorizing a contract with Jacobs Engineering Group. This is a total not to exceed $50,000 and again was presented to you in projects last week. On page 25, you'll be authorizing an as-needed FY 2025 minor public works contract with Olympia Sprinkler Installation for fire suppression and backflow prevention. This is a total not to exceed $33,260 and again was presented in projects last week. On page 26, you'll be authorizing an as-needed minor public works contract with Crimson Carpet and Flooring. Excuse me. This is a total not to exceed $16,300 and again was presented in projects last week. On page 27, you'll be authorizing a disbursement from district improvement funds for Southview and Skyline Elementary Schools. That is a total of $2,900 and was discussed in finance last week. On page 28, you'll be authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Volker Inc. for the support of home repair and home renovation services for the Office of Community and Neighborhood Services. This is a total not to exceed $70,000 and was discussed in projects last week. On page 29, you'll be authorizing the execution of a funding agreement with MAC Environmental LLC for home repair and home renovation services for the Office of Community and Neighborhood Services. This is a total not to exceed $230,000 and again was discussed in projects last week. On page 30, you'll be authorizing a contract with Brink Drones, Inc. and declaring a bid law exemption pursuant to Alabama Code 4116 51A15. This comes to you from the Tuscaloosa Police Department. On page 31, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding with Grand Canyon University for a practicum for social work students. This came to you in public safety last week. On page 32, you'll be readopting the National Incident Management System. This was presented to you in public safety last week. On page 33, you'll be temporarily expanding the downtown entertainment district hours for Thursday, November 14th, 2024. Again, this was presented in public safety last week. On page 34, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute the Firehouse Subs 2025 grant application and award documents. This was presented to you in finance last week. On page 35, you'll be authorizing the mayor to make application to the Bureau of Justice Assistance for fiscal year 2024 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. That is doubled up and will be heard on finance today. I think that's one that the grant opens up pretty quickly and has a very short window to get in. On page 36, you'll be authorizing modification of the hours of operation for Creole Connection. This is also doubled up and will be in front of you in admin today. On page 37 and 38, you'll be authorizing amendment number 1 to fiscal year 2025 general fund reserve for future improvements budget. That was discussed in finance last week. On page 39, you'll be amending section 23-134 of the Code of Tuscaloosa, and this was discussed in public safety last week, and that looks like that is all I have. Are there any questions for me?
Yeah, I do, page 30, the drone item, that's part of the package we've been looking at moving through.
Yes,
the
sir.
budget.
Yes, sir. We're with Brink Drones, are all American drone company, so nothing is foreign.
Okay, so these are purchases or leases?
It's purchasing for our pods and
Alright.
the drones.
And then no executive session,
No, sir.
Scott?
Thank you.
All right, we got projects at 2:30, finance 3:15, admin at 4, community development at 5. It's a very busy day, and make sure you check if you're an alternate before, if you can't make a committee meeting, make sure we have 2. Personnel board will meet Thursday, and planning and zoning, of course, Monday, October 21st, 5 o'clock in the chambers. Any other comments, anyone? Okay,
I would just like to thank my council members, Councilor Bell and Wilson for coming out Sunday. We had a great time. Thank y'all so much.
That's a really great part.
Yes, thank you all for all of that support.
Just wait till Morel Odom comes on.
I told you, don't try to outdo me.
It's on the way. It's on the way.
All right, is there a motion we adjourn?